The following podcast is a Dear Media production.
Guys, today is a big day. I am so excited that you can finally pre-order my book. The book is called Get the Fuck Out of the Sun. The foreword is by Dr. Dennis Gross, and it's routines, products, tips, and insider secrets from 100 plus of the world's best skincare gurus. We have influencers, celebrities, doctors, kind of everything. And then, of course, you can expect so many of my tips and tricks throughout the book. It is color. It is thick. It is pink. You want it on your Instagram feed. It is so fun. It's so cheeky. And it answers every single skincare question you could ever think of. This is a book that you can take and display on your coffee table, but it's also a book that you're going to go to and you're going to bookmark the fuck out of it. You don't have to read it start to finish. You can just open it up and learn all about skincare. I have been working on this book for truly the last 3 years, just picking up all the secrets and all the insider tips and tricks for you. Some of the top influencers are featured in my book: Kristen Cavallari, Patrick Starr, the Summer Fridays co-founders, Shea Marie, Chriselle Lim, Jillian Michaels, Stassi Schroeder, Omni Song, The Lady Gang, Mandy Madden Kelly, Amelia Bell, Delilah Gray, Bobby Brown, Justin Anderson, and more. We also have all the top skincare doctors: Dr. Dennis Gross, Dr. Jason Diamond, Sonia Dakar, Georgia Louise, Barbara Sturm, and more. I am so excited to finally bring you this book. You can pre-order it where books are available. It's obviously on Amazon. Pre-order a copy. I'm telling you, I think you'll love it. It's very much up your alley. With that, let's get into the show.
She's a lifestyle blogger extraordinaire.
Fantastic.
And he's a serial entrepreneur.
A very smart cookie.
And now Lauren Everts and Michael Bosstick are bringing you along for the ride.
Get ready for some major realness.
Welcome to the Skinny Confidential. Him and her.
Aha!
I'm just going to get straight to the point here, Michael Bosstick. We are doing a solo episode today.
Doing a lot more solos.
A lot more solos. I think solos are great. They're fun, and we can really zone in on what the audience wants.
Yeah, not that I don't love interviewing all the guests. I do. Opening this show up from 6 a month to 8 a month gives us more opportunity to do these. And I missed the solo, and that's how the show started.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to be hitting you with some fire solo episodes today and always. So today's topic is things that are holding you back.
Things that are holding you back in life. And I know that sounds like it has a negative connotation. Obviously, if you're being held back, it is a negative thing. But hopefully this episode gives some positivity, gives some encouragement, helps you potentially get rid of some of those things that are holding you back. And these are all things that Lauren and I have been held back from as well, and things that we've had to learn from. And I'm sure that we still need to keep working on. So we thought that we would share some of the things that we've learned with you to hopefully get you past the things that are holding you back.
Yeah. And honestly, this is not like trying to preach at anyone. This is just things that, like Michael said, we've observed in our own life that have been making us stressed or anxious or unhappy. And we think that maybe there'll be a gem in here that you pick up and you're like, oh, I'm doing that. That's making me unhappy. And I didn't even realize it was making me unhappy.
Yeah. We've taken the things that we've learned and some of the gems we've pulled from some of the guests on the show and some of the books we've read and some of the experience we've had and just compiled them all together. We talked about it ahead of time, saying like, hey, is this something that has held us back in the past? Is this something that could be holding someone else back, someone that we care about? Obviously, we care a ton about our audience and people in our lives. So if you can use any of these things or you identify any of these, I don't want to call them issue, but things that are holding you back, hopefully you can use some of this advice to get past them and move forward.
Before we get into it, can I just tell you a few micro things that are making me unhappy?
Sure. Well,
the long dad eyebrow hair that's hanging down to your tooth.
I don't know what happened when I became a dad. My eyebrow hair is like, is this normal? Like, do they triple in length when you become a dad?
It's literally stuck under your shoe.
No, honestly, I don't blame you. They're gross. I looked at myself the other day in the mirror and I was like, what the hell happened, man?
Yeah. And then also the pepper in your tooth. Like, we all know that, but that'd be great if you could remove it.
I got to stop eating those Dave Everything bagels.
Oh, the worst. Every single time you eat one of those goddamn bagels, you smile and it's like a pepper is in each tooth. And the pepper doesn't go away the next day. It stays in there.
Let me do a little quick. Dave's everything bagels.
No, don't
Eat
don't do
those
it.
and you can keep the peppers and flavor in your teeth for the entire week.
Yeah, you're sucking on your tooth with
I don't know
those.
if they're going to sponsor the show now. Probably
Okay,
not.
so those are a couple things that are holding you back. Let's hop right into it. You go first. I saw your list earlier and it's a good one.
Well, I usually like when you go first, but I think this is one that luckily we were both able to get past early on, but it's something that it continues to pop up as an issue. People continue to write questions in about this topic, and it has to do with caring and worrying about what others think about you. And not just think about you as a person, but let me give you an example. Caring about what people think if you start a venture and fail. If you worry so much about what people think and what people feel about what you're doing, all that's going to do is hold you back. We say it time and time again. It's not that we don't respect other people's feelings. It's just you can't live life caring about how other people think about how you engage in your own life.
And I think just to give some examples for you guys, when I first started the Skinny Confidential, I had a mentor that I looked up to who was training me in Pure Barre. And I remember I went to her and told her I was launching this blog, and she looked at me and she said, "Why would you launch a blog on health and fitness? You have no credential in that," which wasn't true. I did have credential in it. I actually had taken a whole program and a course, but for her to challenge me like that when she didn't even understand the whole scope, if I had listened to her, I just wouldn't have done anything. I also had another friend, or so I thought. A friend of mine had said to another friend, "I'm not going to go to Lauren's blog. I don't want to give her that hit." And so comments like that were constantly coming in. You guys know, if you've listened to my content for a long time, I was bartending at my job and this guy was sitting there. He's drinking his rusty nail. And he said to me, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I said, "I want to build a brand and I want to do that by starting out as a blogger." And he looked at me like I was an alien and he said, "You're never going to make money doing that. You should really find something else to do." And it turned out that he was the creator of the airbag. So my point is you can't let people and their opinions hold you back from what you feel you should be doing. You know you best. Trust your intuition.
Yeah, and if you constantly worry about what other people think, you're constantly going to second guess yourself, which is the main problem. You don't want to second guess yourself. If you have a strong idea or a strong passion and you feel like you can go make something of that idea or a passion, whether it's a creative outlet or a business or whatever, you need to be able to pursue that. Same thing in a relationship. You know, we all know, but actually it happened in Lauren and I's relationship. You start to get feelings for someone. You say, "I think I could be in a relationship with that person," and friends will say, "No, I don't think you could get her or him," or your parents say, "No, I don't think that's a good fit." Like, you have to be able to follow your own heart and your own mind.
That happened?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's happened to us, and I'm sure it's happening to others.
No one said that to me about you.
Yeah. Well, they said they looked at you and said, that's a good idea, right? No, I'm just kidding. But you know, there's the reverse of this, which is caring so much about what other people think that you start conforming to everybody else's opinion. And I feel like we're seeing a lot of that in this day and age, where people are taking ideas that aren't necessarily their own and they're just conforming because they want to fit in. And again, this holds you back because it stops you from having original thought. It stops you from standing out. It stops you from being unique. So worrying about what other people think and then caring so much that you conform to beliefs that aren't your own, these are things that are holding you back.
I always like the school of fish that's swimming, and then there's a fish that's swimming against it.
Every story that we read about people, every biography, every historical figure that we admire, that we respect, is somebody that went against the grain, that didn't worry so much about what others thought, that did it their way. And I would encourage other people to think about their own lives the same way.
Okay, so I'm going to share one of mine. Mine is, and this is the biggest one, number one for me, is no alone time to recharge. If I do not get alone time to recharge, I'm a psycho. Remember the other night?
Yeah. So you must be getting no alone time. Because...
The other night I was winding down. It was a Sunday. I had about 2 hours to myself.
Can I post a screenshot of this text you sent me?
Sure.
I feel like people should see the abuse that I take.
I went psycho because I was winding down, and Michael comes in, and because his parents used to rip him out of bed when he's little, he thinks it's okay.
Oh, now you're calling my parents into that? Oh, you're gonna get some text later.
100%. He thinks it's okay to come into my ether and rip me out of bed. So I was winding down, relaxing with the baby. She was asleep. And he came in and he did not wake me up like a cat.
Side note, let's all the parents out there are going to get this. You and the baby started taking a nap at 5 p.m. I took one look at the situation. Like, the baby has not eaten dinner. If the baby sleeps, if she misses dinner and sleeps through the night, she will be up at 3 or 4 a.m. You will not get up. I will be up in the middle of the night.
Okay.
So I had to sacrifice you in order to save myself.
Okay, but here's what you should have done so I can edit this for you. You should have quietly woke the baby up in a soft, nice, low cortisol, unlike the way you grew up way, and left me be. So he woke me
I feel
up.
like I turned out okay.
He ripped me out of bed, and the text messages that he got were in all caps.
I'm going to post it.
I don't care.
Write in if you want to see. People, you're not going to believe the way she talked to me. You're not going to believe
I
this.
lost my shit. But this just brings me to my point of I do not feel fulfilled in my life if I do not have alone time to recharge. And what I've realized is, and I think everyone should do an exercise like this, is that I am an introvert. I thought for so long I was an extrovert because I thought that meant you were outgoing and this and that. But what I found is that an extrovert's someone who gets energy from people when they go out, whereas an introvert gets energy when they're home and they recharge. So first I would find out if you're an extrovert and an introvert. If you are an introvert, I would recommend making gaps in your calendar in your day for alone time to recharge. So whether that's taking a walk in the morning or going outside, putting your feet in the grass, drinking your coffee, whether it's a Sunday and like creating space or saying no is so important. I believe everyone needs alone time to recharge.
Yeah, I agree. And I know this one's yours, but I to add to that, I would say
you totally need alone time to recharge, by the way.
Well, I take a ton of alone time.
Yeah.
I have two friends in my life, and one of them's myself. The other one's you. No, I'm just kidding. If people were constantly so stimulated by, outside thoughts and outside stimulation and technology and all these things, you have to take time alone to get to know yourself so that you can figure out who you are and what you really want. And so if you're not taking time to recharge and be alone, it's really difficult to identify what you're about as a human, which again holds you back because you don't know yourself.
100%. I feel like alone time allows you to recharge your batteries to gain clarity for what you really want. So one of the most powerful things that I have done this year is go away with my husband and my baby, bring a pencil, a journal, put my phone away, bring library books and read and journal. And we sort of did like a think week at the beginning of this year. And it was such a reset for me to be like, this is what I'm going to accomplish this year. This is where I want to add value. This is where I want to be purposeful and meaningful. And I was able to see all my thoughts on paper. So alone time is key, in my opinion.
Yeah, we have unlimited vacation policy at Dear Media, and I wish more people, and listen, if anyone from Dear Media is listening to this, I really wish more people would take advantage of it for the purpose of not just going out and partying and letting loose, like that's fine, you can do that, but also for the purpose of going and taking time for yourself so that you can learn more about yourself and how to be more efficient and be productive in your own life, which ultimately helps Dear Media, but also helps the individual grow. So I think having alone time is definitely something people should take advantage of. And if you're not, it's definitely holding you back.
Put it on your calendar as a creative block. That's my tip.
I am about to tell you about the answer to all your problems. I don't know about you, but this is the answer to all my problems. Okay, so when quarantine first started, obviously we could not go get our nails done. So I had to get creative and do my own nails, which is so much harder than it sounds. And I feel like most of you guys can relate to this. It's really hard. But the hard thing is too, I was painting my nails with nail polish and it would constantly chip. So a girlfriend of mine introduced me to Olive and June, and they have this system. It's called the Manny system, and it's the answer to salon perfect nails, but at home. Olive and June polish lasts 7 days and doesn't chip. And with the Manny system, each at-home Manny comes out to just $2. So you're saving money and you're not having chipped nails, and you can actually do them by yourself. I can remember all through high school and middle school that I would do my own nails and they looked like they'd been painted by a 3-year-old. But this is different, okay? So the system is super easy. It's only 5 steps. It comes with this thing called a poppy. It's this patented brush handle that makes it so easy to paint with both your hands. So if you're like me and you're right-handed, you can use the poppy and paint both of your hands. It looks so good, okay? You're going to get that nail polish that doesn't chip. Honestly, your nails are so shiny, it looks like there's gel. For me, I took a break off gel during quarantine because I felt like it was ruining my nails. So this was the perfect time for me to really experience Olive and June's nail polishes. I am a huge fan of their whites, light pinks, and nudes. They're very pigmented. And like I said, they're so shiny that people think it's gel. But I'm telling you, the Olive and June Manny system is the secret behind salon perfect nails at home. It's all in one, no guessing, no messy nails, and no salon price tag. Everyone needs to try this. Everyone that follows along with the Skinny Confidential is going to be obsessed. And they are giving you 20% off your first Manny system with our code SKINNY. Your new nail life is here. Get 20% off your first Manny system when you use promo code SKINNY at checkout. All you have to do is go to oliveandjune.com. We're done with the expensive bad Manny's. This is the new us now, all right?
My next one is going to be like beating a dead horse. This audience has heard it from me for years, but it really is honestly one of the most important things. And it should be self-explanatory, but lack of action, lack of actually doing. If you're not waking up every day and taking action, whether that's to be better, to feel better, to work harder, to work more efficiently, to launch that new business, to launch that new blog, to launch that new clothing, whatever it is you're doing, that new creative outlet, lack of action is holding you back completely. And I know I've said this a million times on the show, which is launch fast and adjust, because if you sit there and you constantly second guess, oh, should I do it now or should I wait, or should I get a couple more opinions before I do it, or should I wait for the right timing or the right season, you are holding yourself back. There is absolutely no linear reason or linear path as to why I should be heading up one of the most prominent podcast networks in the world at this point. It's literally because Lauren and I sat around, we had some margaritas, we said, let's do a podcast. We did it. We had no experience. We kept going. Then lo and behold, here we are. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to point out that there wasn't some course, there wasn't some credential, there wasn't some certification, there wasn't some right timing, there wasn't some experience. It was literally just taking action and working every day. And same thing with Lauren in her blog. It was literally just doing. So you have to stop waiting for permission, and you just have to get going.
And by the way, I am all about learning and knowledge, but I'm all about learning and knowledge while you're simultaneously doing. So let me give you an example. Every single day I wake up, I have my list of things I need to do, like to move the needle. I'm always working on the number one thing that's going to move the needle, the second thing, the third thing, whatever that is. So simultaneously, you can take a shower, do your makeup, make the bed, take a walk while you're learning a podcast, Audible, whatever it is. Feel free to learn as much as you want. Just make sure you're simultaneously doing.
Yeah, you just have to do. Everyone talks about wanting to feel better, look better, eat better. Then start eating better today. Start going to the gym or getting a workout today. Stop waiting. And I don't say that to attack anyone. I say that to point out that there is never going to be in the future. It's not going to be a perfect in the future. It's perfect right now. And you're going to take some lumps on the way, and it's going to be hard in the beginning, but you have to get going.
We talked to a bunch of USC students the other day, and it was so interesting because so many of them had went back to school, to business school, because they want to be entrepreneurs and they want to be in business. And my best advice from what I've experienced is if you want to be in business, go experience business.
Yeah, I think one of the difficulties, and one thing I don't like about, what the school system teaches us, the school system teaches us some good things, but it also put some bad things in our mind. And this kind of whole thing where it's like you have to graduate before you're allowed to do something. Like you have to get from first to second grade, 7th to 8th grade. You have to graduate high school. You have to graduate college in order to have credentials to do something. The current economy doesn't reward any of that. There's no class that Lauren and I was able to take that had anything to do with podcasting, had anything to do with writing books, had anything to do with blogs, had anything to do with digital advertising or beds. There's literally nothing, no course, no certification that went through to be able to do anything we're doing. So I don't want to say school is a bad thing, but I want to make sure that people don't get stuck in this credential mentality where they can't get started on something until they've got a certain certification. Obviously, that doesn't apply to being a lawyer or a doctor where you actually need to be certified. But for many of the opportunities that exist in the creative and job world now, you can just get going. And you can definitely get going if you want to self-improve by reading more books or going to the gym or getting a workout or eating a healthier meal. You can do that today, right now. You don't need to wait. So if you're not doing those things, you're not taking action, start now, because if you're not, it is holding you back.
My next one has to do with a more personal note again, but I think that all of us could work on this, including you, and that is too much screen time. I truly notice when I am on my phone too much that I feel low. I feel blue almost when I'm on my phone too much. So I think creating parameters around the phone and boundaries is really, really important. I don't think that we should all just give ourselves free access to use electronics whenever the fuck we want. And so what I've done and again, this is just my experience, you do you here, but I've put parameters around my phone because if I'm on it too much, it's not good. I feel like Ichabod Crane or something.
Yeah, listen, we are all as a society, all of us, you and I included, very guilty of being completely addicted to screens. Televisions, computers,
even the baby,
iPads, obviously our phones. Yeah,
the baby is like, she wants to watch a screen all the time, and it worries me.
It's been interesting to observe a 1-year-old, and Lauren and I are now conscious and very careful about when we pull out screens and TVs.
She's literally watching Frozen at home right now.
Yeah, well, great. Any of these parents that have young children understand completely, like, it's like crack to these kids. Like, they see a screen and they dive right into it. And I didn't get a smartphone. And I think at the time it was like a BlackBerry or like one of those razors. Like, I didn't get one of those until we graduated college. So at that point, I was 21, 22, 20, whatever it was.
Remember when we used to page each other?
Yeah, but think about that. There's no screen there.
He would page me. This is actually really cute. Why don't you do this anymore? Every single morning you woke up at 7 a.m. on the dot, you would page me what?
I would do 143.
143. I love you.
Yeah.
So every morning I would wake up to a page that said 143. Can you bring something back like that?
Well, now I just send the heart, right?
No, you don't do anything in the morning.
You want the old vintage one.
Yeah, you roll over, your eyebrow hair like falls out of bed with you. And
you should thank my parents for ripping me out of bed at 7 a.m. on the dot.
Lazy. But yeah, too much screen time.
All I do is like help raise this kid with you and run this business and do this podcast 8 times a fucking month with you. So yeah, late. I didn't send the 143, but God forbid.
I'm missing the 143. So too much screen time. Yes. Okay. So how I combat that, I do not go on my phone for an hour to an hour and a half in the morning. When I wake up, I don't touch the phone. If I do touch the phone, it's to turn on a podcast or to go to the book app. If for some reason I start down the rabbit hole of the dark soul of social media and my text messages, I'm incredibly reactive the rest of the day. I'm not proactive. So what I like to do is I like to wake up. I like to be with the baby. I like to read, listen to podcasts, make the bed, get the baby ready, get her fed, take a walk, get outside before I even hit my phone. And just doing that is absolutely life-changing. Yeah. Another thing that I'm working on as well, and Michael taught me this tip, is to read an actual book. So we got these little book lights. And on our house, we're getting these little book lights that are over our, like each side, like a him and her light. And so you can turn on the light. It doesn't wake up the whole room and you can read an actual book. And I think that's very helpful as well. And then my last tip is if you are going to read on your phone, like I sometimes do, turn it on red mode and turn it on night mode. So it's black in the background with white text. And then you're going to get that red mode that helps your brain wind down. Yeah,
you might have to Google, because I know we've shared it on the show before, but there's no way I'm going to be able to link to it, about how to, and we've talked about this a few times, about how to change your phone to have a red screen at night. Just Google, how do I change my phone color to red? But literally on my iPhone, I click it 3 times and the whole screen goes red. And it's much easier on your eyes if you do have to look at your phone at night. And you should honestly just click that on as soon as it gets dark outside to help. Another thing we're doing, which is an extreme hack, well, it's extreme for me because I've always had not always, but since I've been an adult, had a TV in the room. We're taking that out of the bedroom so that we have even less screens in the room, so that when we're in there, it's for 2 things. You don't have to repeat the 2 things. So yeah, and we also have these people that are the screen time deniers. And I know some of you are sitting out there and you're saying, well, I need the screen for work and I need to get to my emails and I need to be accessible. And that's definitely true, but you can take a break and find strategic times to do that. And when you do take those breaks, getting off of social, getting off YouTube, taking time off the screen to get some nature, read a regular book, enjoy a meal without a phone is important, because we just get so sucked into these things and start living in this world where we're stuck in a screen, and it stops you from seeing the world around you.
Also, take your phone off your penis right now, because it's not good for you. That's why I use my safe sleeve to fight radiation.
All right. So
what's next for you?
My next one is, and I touch on this, so I'll go through it really quick. It's this when it's a when then mentality. And when I say that, it's like, when I get the degree, I will start pursuing this. When I get a gym membership, I'll start going to the gym. When I finish school, I'll start looking to do this. It's this constant if, then, when mentality.
Yeah, my friend Weston, he'll appreciate being called out, was doing this a lot. He would say, when I get to the end of this year, I'll be happy. When I get to Austin, he moved to LA, I'll be happy. And we always have this conversation with him. And we always are pointing out when he does it, because we want to call him out on it and hold him accountable. why not be happy now in the present moment? If you can't be happy now, you can't be happy when you have more or you've grown. I just feel like embrace where you are at the time.
Yeah, there's a quote I'm going to butcher here. I'm going to butcher this quote for sure. And I think it's by Naval Ravikant, and it says, desire is a contract you make with yourself to be miserable till you get what you want. And I think that's so true. So many of us wait and they say, well, one day when I get X amount of money, I'll be happier. When I meet this person, I'll be happier. When I move here, I'll be happier. When I get this house, I'll do this. And it's this constant thing where, like, I promise you, you're always going to find the next thing if you have that type of brain. Like, your mind is already wired to say, what's the next thing? And so you go through this constant state of unhappiness, anxiety, where you're constantly disrupted because you're looking for the next thing always. And I think that also relates to, as we go through life, or things that are holding us back, it's you're waiting for permission and you're waiting for credentials and you're waiting for people to tell you it's okay before you actually take action or do something or decide to be happy or decide to pursue that girl or guy or whatever. And so it's this if, when, then mentality that is definitely holding you back.
Ocean salmon. Oh, it's so good. This is created for those who want their perfect protein match. Basically, there's ocean raised and wild salmon. And ocean raised salmon has more than 1,500 milligrams of omega-3 content, which is double the omega-3 content versus most wild salmons. That rocked my world. I did not know that. So they have this premium Atlantic salmon, and it's raised in open nets in the fresh waters of Chile. This salmon, you guys, the presentation when you get it to your door is absolutely beautiful. You want it on your Instagram, which is so wild. They've made salmon aesthetically pleasing. It's free of microplastics, growth hormones, and heavy metals. I like to use an 8-ounce piece, and I like to make baked salmon. So you can heat your oven to 350 or 400. You want to line a baking sheet with a little bit of like paper. Or you could also put olive oil on the sheet. Then you're going to put your piece of salmon on and you're going to add a bunch of lemon. You could add some Italian herbs. I like that crunchy fleur de sel salt and some pepper. And you're going to cook it for about 15 minutes.
I'm getting hungry right now. We've been recording for a while now and I'm getting really hungry.
It's so delicious. It's the perfect consistency.
Sold me.
Yeah, it's really good. You can go on their website and see all the different options that they have. They have the one night stand, the entertainer, and the Ocean's 12. I personally am a huge fan of the one night stand, okay? This item ships fresh, never frozen. It's skin on fresh portions. It's the 8-ounce portion duo, and it's packed in a skin pack to preserve the freshness and taste. You're going to love the branding. They made salmon sexy, okay? Ocean arrives 7 days fresher than anything you can find at your local retailer. To get your box of Ocean, visit oceansalmon.com and use code SKINNY for 15% off plus free shipping. That's OSHENSALMON.com. You're going to use code SKINNY. Ocean raised, ocean loved, salmon as it should be. The next thing that I have had to learn the absolute hardest way possible is overcommitting, which leads to burnout. Okay. This one deserves like a standing ovation. We all overcommit. We say yes, 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 yes. Actually, Michael doesn't really overcommit. I do. And I had to scale way back. I noticed that saying yes served me in the first 7 years of my 12-year career with the Skinny Confidential. I said yes to everything. Every single person's school project, interviews, events, anything. I said yes, 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 yes. And I think it served me for 7 years till it got to a point where it stopped serving me. And I had to step back and evaluate everything. And COVID allowed me to evaluate everything. Having a baby allowed me to do that and just stop and think, okay, I only have so much energy and I can only put so much energy in one spot. So I had to choose the spots that really count. Obviously, motherhood's very important to me. My marriage is very important to me. Peace of mind is very important to me. My dog, my home. And then I had to look at my business and be like, where can I put my energy and efforts? And I think that when we overcommit and we say we can do all these different things, people end up getting mad anyway. And let me give you an example. So if I go to San Diego, I'll try to see a bunch of my friends.
Oh, you're the worst. You try to squeeze everybody in, and everybody realizes it and everybody gets resentful.
No, because I want to see everyone, and
everyone in San Diego is listening to this and knowing if that's what she does to squeeze us all in.
I don't mean to squeeze people in. I want to see everyone, and I want to hang out with people that I haven't seen in a while. But what ends up happening...
But you try to do it in a 2-day window.
Yeah, people end up getting mad at me and disappointed because I'm either running late or I have to leave early to the next thing. And so it ends up just not a good situation. So what I've tried to do with things like that is just not overcommit. Just say, I can't do it. And I think having a baby has allowed me to really not overcommit myself anymore.
Well, I'm on the fence on this one, and I'm going to contradict you a bit while agreeing and disagreeing with you. And
Please do.
And I'll tell you why. I think there's seasons for this. I think when you are young and you're trying to, not just young, I think when you're somebody who's trying to figure out what that next step in life is, we'll take dating. You want to figure out who are you going to end up with, who's going to be someone you really want to get in a relationship with. I think have fun, go on as many dates as possible with as many different people as you want and figure out who the right fit is. So you're not
Fuck everyone.
Yeah, you can
try all the Baskin Robbins flavors.
I also think if you're a young person and you don't really know, I keep saying young person, but I'm thinking about some of our siblings when I think about that, so I keep saying it. But I think if you're somebody who's trying to figure out your purpose or your passion, it's good to say yes to a lot of things, because by saying yes to a lot of things, you get to taste a bunch of different flavors and figure out what you actually identify with and what's right for you. Not committing to those things, I think it holds you back. On the flip side of that, once you find those things and once you kind of have your purpose or you have something that's working, then you have to be really selective of your time. For me, obviously, head down doing this podcast, being a new dad, being in a relationship, running Dear Media, I'm very selective now about any other ventures outside of those things.
You have 400 text messages unanswered right now. I just checked your phone.
Yeah, and listen, I don't feel bad about it. And I know that there's people that are sitting there waiting for an answer back, but that's not the way.
Okay, but I need to get
I
in your brain
literally have
here.
412.
How do you not just care? Because I have a thing where I like to check off my stuff.
One, I don't want to reward the behavior of people just bombarding me in text thinking that's the way to get a response.
100%.
So that's one, selfishly. Two, if I know that it's an ask or something coming to me that I can't fulfill because I'm focused on something else, I don't want to engage because one, I only want to do things that I'm going to commit 100% to. And two, I don't want to commit to something that I'm not because I'm going to do a bad job and ultimately disappoint the person and waste time. So it's maybe a short-term burn. Maybe some people are like, man, that guy's a dick. He doesn't respond to text and even answer. But at the same time, and sometimes I just don't see them, right? I'm not, again, limiting screen time. I'm not looking at my text that much. But I want to be all in on whatever I'm doing. But that's because I'm at a stage in life now where I've tasted the flavors, figured out what my focus should be, figure out what makes sense.
You've tasted the flavors.
I've tasted a lot of flavors. And I want to go in on those particular things that I know move the needle.
Okay.
Where so many of us were like, okay, I'll go to that dinner party, or I'll go to that birthday party, or I'll commit to that work, or I'll take a side job here. And you end up doing a whole bunch of nothing for a whole bunch of people.
Wow. That is profound, Michael Bostic.
But it's true, because think about in your own life, when you overcommit, what happens? Let's use the example of overcommitting to people when we come into town to San Diego.
Okay.
What happens? You don't get to spend quality time with those people because you're constantly moving to the next. The people feel not important because you're constantly moving to the next. You feel overwhelmed because you're throwing yourself all over the place. You get exhausted in the end. And at the end, the net result is you're exhausted. The people aren't happy. You're not happy. And relationships will probably hurt.
And I'm bitching at you.
Yeah, and somehow I'm suffering through all of it.
On the way back.
Maybe that's the most important
On the way
thing.
back to LA, I'm like, I'm so tired. So whatever. So I need to work on that. I need to not overcommit myself. I'm still a work in progress when it comes to that. But I do really feel like moving to Austin and now having a baby that I'm a lot better at it.
Well, it's like, do you want to be potentially okay or even subpar or even in some cases bad at a bunch of things? Or do you want to be really, really good at a few things?
I feel like I'm really, really good at a few things. Wouldn't
Sure.
you agree?
Yeah, you are really,
We
really
talked
good
about how I'm good at
but
a
you're
sandwich.
also really, really bad at a lot of things.
100%.
And
Like
I
what?
don't-
Like
and-
name one.
and this
Call
is-
me out. Like what?
And this is going to sound arrogant, but I don't consider myself in the same boat. And I'll tell you why. Because the things that I know I'm bad at, I just won't engage in, which means I don't even have a chance to be bad at it because I won't do it.
Oh.
Right? Like I know that I'll be bad at a million things, so I don't do them, but I focus only on the things I'm going to be good at. Where like you will be like, okay, let's commit to 80 things, knowing that you're not going to commit fully to those things.
Yeah.
So I don't want to attack you on the show, but
No, I'm totally fine. I like to be called out. I want to be held accountable. I think that overcommitting is a really bad trait of mine.
Yeah.
I
Like
need
if I'm going
work
to be
on it.
good at 3 things, I want to be really good at 3 things and bad at the other 97 things.
What are you bad at?
A million things.
Love a deflection.
But I don't do it. So we don't even have an opportunity.
No, what is one thing you're bad at?
Interrupting, over talking, not listening sometimes. You know, a million things I'm bad at. But I'm talking about in terms of committing to things. I usually don't put myself in a position where I can be bad at committing to something, because if I know if I can't commit to it fully, I'd rather not do it, which one stops me from making a fool of myself and being bad, and 2, doesn't put me in a position where I'm letting someone down outside of me saying, sorry, I can't commit to that. That maybe it's a minor letdown as opposed to a huge letdown. You know, there's nothing worse when you commit to somebody and then you just do a terrible job and it's really awkward for both of you.
You are my inspiration, though, when it comes to how you handle your messages and your text. You do create a boundary because you're so laser focused on what you're doing.
Well, I love that episode on boundaries we just did with Nedra. If you
Yeah.
guys haven't checked it out, check it out, because it's all about boundaries. But I would say it comes with a cost. And the cost being is, I know my social life over the years has maybe diminished with some people. I know that I'm probably not the friend these days that people think to first to call if they're going, but also like I can't, because I'm not running out like I used to with a bunch of my single friends. I'm a child and a wife and I'm busy. So I like, it comes with the cost. Like you lose some things, but you just have to ask yourself, like, what are those, what's the most important things to you?
All you want to do is sit in bed and read with a couple books with Boone on your lap.
My best friends are in books. They're in there.
What about me?
Yeah, you're in there. You could be a book. You could be a character.
What's your next one?
My next one is something that holds all of us back, us included, all of us. We're all in the same boat, and that is a lack of focus. Constantly being torn in and out of tasks on social media, by the news, by what's going on in the political world, by what's going on at your Uncle Jim's birthday party, by your friends, by constantly getting out of focus and not being able to sit down, take one task at a time to completion to your best of your ability. We're getting thrown all over the place. Again, overcommitting, taking on so many different things that we end up doing a whole bunch of nothing. And I think in an era where we have so much information at our fingertips and access to so many things so easily, we are actually the least focused we've ever been as a society.
I would 100% agree with you.
And there's people in that find ways to focus and really excel. But I would say cumulatively, all of us included, we are the least focused as a population as we've ever been, which is why shit's all over the place.
What are some tiny things that you do to stay focused? And then I'll share some of mine.
I take one task at a time.
Yeah, you're really good at this. Is this just like propping yourself up this episode?
No, it's not. It's stuff I've learned.
You are really good at this.
There's a really great book by Cal Newport called Deep Work, which I'm sure many of you have read and we've shared on this show. And I actually just bought it again, I don't know if you saw it, to reread it because it's been a while. And there's another one by Gary Keller called The One Thing, and another one called Essentialism by Greg McEwen. Those are all great resources for focus and productivity. But I think over the years, I've just been torn to so many different things and had a lack of focus that I've just learned, okay, the most effective way to get something done is to sit down, focus on one thing to completion, the best of your ability, and then move on to the next. And that even goes for eating meals, right? Like, and I need to improve on this, sitting down and focusing on just eating your meal to completion. And I'm calling myself out. I don't do it that well. You're looking at me pulling your hair because you're stressed about what I'm going to say.
No, because you stand up when you eat. I believe in sitting down and listening to music and trying to get off my phone when I eat.
Yes. But again, there's like, we got to listen to music. We got to do this. Like, I think that there's a way to focus and just get a task. And eating's a minor thing. A perfect example, and we all face this. You're sitting there and you're working and you're in a flow state on your computer probably, and you get torn into a Zoom meeting, or you're like, oh, my inbox just popped up, or I got a text message, or I got to check social media. And there's a study, I can't remember if it's in Deep Work or The One Thing that and I was either a Harvard or Stanford study where they took a group of people that called themselves or identified as multitaskers and people that weren't multitasker, just took one task at a time. And I don't remember the numbers, but they were astronomical, that the people that took one task at a time were way more efficient and way more productive than the so-called multitaskers. And the brain is not wired to go from task to task to task. It's wired to focus on one thing at a time. And if you think about how we all engage now, we are constantly getting out of tasks and in and out of a bunch of different things, which makes us completely unproductive and holds us back.
I know that I always say this, but it really is the best hack for me. It might not work for everyone, but I go to my foot spa and it's 2 hours uninterrupted of just laying there and being able to work on my phone. It's completely silent in there. And I get so much done. Even going to a place like Dry Bar. I went to Dry Bar today and I was able to get my hair washed while I completely focused on a task. I'm a huge fan of not multitasking, but passive multitasking. Another thing that you can do to stay focused is put your phone on airplane mode. It sounds so stupid. Put it in the other room and then use those little dice and cubes that Michael and I use and say, I'm going to concentrate on this task for 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm not going to move on until I finish this task to completion. If there's anything that you know about me, it's that I love white shoes. There's something about them that I just like how they look on the feet. I like how they look with outfits. I have liked them since I've been in second grade. I'm just obsessed. So I know you've heard about this on the Skinny Confidential before, but I'm going to tell you about it again because they are so comfortable, okay? Rothy's. They make the most stylish white shoe. I cannot even tell you. And they're so comfortable and they don't have that break-in period. So, sometimes when you get a new shoe and it screws up your whole foot and you have blisters, Rothy's doesn't do this. I have been walking the baby in these shoes. I wear them on errands. I wear them at the podcast studio. I even wear them when I'm dressed up. Like I was wearing a black blazer pantsuit the other day and I threw on my Rothy's. What I really like about them is when I'm running out the door and I'm late, I can just slip them on very quickly. If you're not a fan of white shoes, don't worry. Rothy's are available in a range of style and they come in so many different colors, prints, and patterns. The coolest thing about them though is Rothy's shoes are knit with thread made from plastic water bottles. I just feel like the whole sustainability around Rothy's is so cool. They've transformed over 75 million bottles into beautiful shoes, handbags, and face masks. You have to check them out. Their shoes are fully machine washable, which is huge for me because I like the white. So I can just throw them in the washing machine and they come out looking good as new. So if Michael steps on my Rothy's, it's not a big deal. They're not screwed up, okay? Check out all the amazing shoes, bags, and masks available right now at rothys.com/skinny. That's rothys.com, rothys.com/skinny. Style and sustainability meet to create your new favorites. Head to rothys.com/skinny today and check out the white slip-ons. I'm telling you.
Like you could just do a simple experiment.